Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight. Today's series, Rairairai by Kei Yoshiaki. And the best way to describe the series would be Kaiju number 8 meets Parasyte with a sprinkling of Dorohedoro. So if that interests you, well, let's continue. The basic premise: 50 years after the war with the aliens, Sumire Ichigaya is 18 years old. To pay off her debts, she works for a company that exterminates space pests. One day, Samire's daily life changes drastically when she's kidnapped by a UFO. The voice of someone in her head. Space vermin are attacking, and even a military company is after her. Now, that might seem a little bit confusing on what exactly is going on, so let's actually break it down for you. So we start off with our main character, Samir, naked, strapped to a table with a bunch of aliens surrounding her. And she just has this really freaked out expression on her face. And right away, I'll say that's one of my favorite things about the artwork in this series is all the characters are very expressive. And the expressions are just hilarious, which works because the series is a action comedy. And that's when we cut to a little bit of the lore behind this world. This is Earth, but this is like an alternate Earth where 50 years ago, there was a war between humans and aliens. And eventually, mankind prevailed. But even though the aliens were defeated, they left behind some remnants. Basically, we have two types of like alien species that were kind of left behind. We have the space pests, which are basically like our pests, rats, insects, things like that. And we have space vermin, which are basically giant kaijus. Because of these two different types of aliens, a bunch of private sectors were created, private military businesses, and we pretty much have exterminators that deal with the space pests. And then we have like military branches that deal with the space vermin. Samir works for a company that deals with space pests. And of course, she wakes up in the middle of a crop circle in a rice field. And the owner of the field is like yelling at her, like, "What are you doing? What did you do to my fields? Hold it right there, you damn ruffian." And Samir jumps on her bike and rushes to work, where it turns out that this is her 7th time being late this month alone. And she tries to explain herself, like, I was abducted by aliens. And her boss is like, the last confirmed sighting of UFO was 35 years ago. Government has declared that all alien presences have been eliminated. All that's left are the vermins and space pests. So, if you think I'm going to buy your story about being kidnapped by a bunch of aliens, you're barking up the wrong tree. Now get to work. And as she's driving to work, we get to learn a little bit more about her. Turns out that she is in debt. And she's in debt because of her dad. Her dad made a lot of money gambling. He, I guess, also lost a lot of money. So he owes a huge grade of debt. And that debt has now fallen onto her shoulders. So she's trying to pay off the debt that her father made, as well as taking care of her younger brother. And so she's basically like Kobene from Chainsaw Man. If you ever wanted to see like a comedic Kobene who's not as scared, taking on aliens instead of devils, this is pretty much the series for you. So, yeah, she's explaining to her partner about being abducted by aliens. And he's like, "Well, is there anything weird with your body? Like, are your hands or feet okay?" Because people who have claimed to be abducted, their hands and their feet change. Sometimes their whole body changes. It'll get turned into slime or something. Some have mutated beyond recognition. Have you noticed anything wrong with your body? And she's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, well, maybe you weren't abducted. Maybe it was just a dream." And so they arrive at their customer's house, and we just kind of see what her daily life is. We just see these space pests that are kind of just going around, not really doing much harm in terms of like harming humans or anything, but they're basically, I mean, it's in their name. They're pests. They're something that you don't want around. We just see her going about her daily life, where we see her going to the supermarket and having to fight people to get food, getting very little food in return because most of her money is being taken by taxes and things like that. We see her watching the news where they're talking about UFOs and the fact that there haven't been any UFO sightings in a long time. And like one of the people is like, I was abducted by aliens 5 years ago, but no one's believing him. So just kind of stuff like this. It's basically just kind of showing us Samir's ordinary world, what she does, how the world reacts around her, She goes to sleep, and once again, she wakes up naked, strapped to a table, surrounded by aliens. And the aliens just kind of point up, and she looks up at the ceiling, and she sees this giant alien-looking creature suspended above her. And the creature gets lowered closer and closer to her, and right when it's about to make contact with her, she wakes up, and she's like, "Oh man, that was a crazy dream." And that's when she looks at her arm and discovers that her arm is the arm of the creature that was suspended above her. So this is where the whole like parasite situation comes in. And of course, we just have funny expressions on her face as she's freaking out. And she starts hearing voices, or she's screaming, and the voices are yelling back at her. And so we have this hilarious Evil Dead 2 moment where the hand starts moving without her consent and starts like slapping her in the face and pounding her on the head and yelling back at her. So she's yelling at her hand's yelling back at her. Her hand is basically like Miji from Parasyte if Miji had a foul mouth and was constantly cursing. So yeah, this hand is just constantly cursing at her, calling her the F word, telling her to shut her face, things like that, trying to take over her body and yelling, "Why can't I take over your body?" And that's when her neighbor starts pounding on the wall. And it's like, "Hey, keep it down in there. Some people are trying to sleep." And the arm does not take too kindly to that and breaks a hole in the wall, Kool-Aid Man style, and starts trying to attack the neighbor. And so Sumire is basically trying to get control over her hand as her giant mutated hand is trying to kill her neighbor. And eventually the neighbor runs out screaming, and the hand turns its attention back to Sumire and starts trying to choke her out and trying to kill her. So, yeah, poor Sumire is basically trying to fight off her own hand that's trying to kill her. And that's when the cops show up, and the cops see Sumire with her giant mutated hand, and they start freaking out as well. And so she has to attack the cops before the cops can shoot her. And she's like, "Okay, I gotta get the hell out of here. I've caused too much ruckus, too much damage, a lot of noise. There's alarms going off. More cops are gonna show up. I gotta get out of here and hide." So she wraps this like blanket around herself to hide her arm, and she starts running through the city. And as she's going through the city, a giant alien shows up. So this is a space vermin. Only this isn't like a space vermin that we saw earlier. This isn't exactly a kaiju. This one is maybe like 2, possibly 3 stories tall. But it starts attacking Sumire. And Sumire is just like trying to fight back, but she can't. And no matter what she's doing, this thing is just kicking her butt. And the alien in her arm is telling her, "Hey, you gotta let me take over. Like, I have enough power to kill this thing, but I ain't got enough power to kill it with one arm. I need you to allow me to take over your body so that I can fight it and defeat it. Otherwise, we're both gonna die." And of course, she's like, "No, I can't do that. You're not gonna give me my body back. I'm gonna die if I let you take over. You're just gonna kill a bunch of humans if I do." And the alien in her hand is like, "No, no, 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 no. Like, this thing is going to kill a bunch of humans if we don't kill it. You got to let me take over your body." And that's when she gets attacked some more. She gets beamed down, defeated. The monstrous alien picks her up and is about to eat her. And she kind of has a flashback to her childhood. And it's terrible. It's basically her covering her ears, has her parents are yelling at each other. She has a younger brother that she's doing everything she can to keep safe. She has such good, outstanding grades that she can go to any kind of college that she wants, but instead she's going to go straight to work. Instead, she's actually going to be dropping out of high school so that she can work, so that she can support her family. And so we just see her doing a bunch of menial jobs that absolutely suck, but she's doing them anyways because she needs the money. And while she's having these flashbacks, she awakens back into her consciousness, and she sees the alien inside her. And the alien's like, "Hey, what about it? Like, you want to take me up on my offer? Or is this how you want to die? Do you want to just get eaten?" And she's like, "Well, if I die, my family's going to get the insurance money. And with that, they're going to be able to pay off the debt and live a normal life." And the alien's like, "All right, sounds fine to me, I guess. Let me take over your body." And she's like, "No, it's not fine. Like, I've never been able to do anything to enjoy my life. I've always had to hold myself back. I wanted to go to high school, but I couldn't. I had to drop out during junior high so that I can go take up a bunch of jobs. I wanted to go on dates with boys, but I was never able to. There are so many things I wanted to do, so many things I wanted to experience that I never was able to experience. I had my childhood basically robbed from me because of my family's deaths. And the alien's like, well, how about I set you free? I'll set you free from all of those. All those ties, cut them loose. Give me your body. She's like, you know what? Fine. But only under one condition. You got to promise me that you won't kill any people. He's like, all right, sure, I can do that. And he kind of like just jumps immediately right in. He doesn't put up any kind of struggle with this. She's like, are you sure? Are you positive? Swear it. And he swears it. I won't kill any people. She's like, all right, we can take over. And so, yeah, the kaiju has eaten Sumire. And that's when the alien creature rips out of the kaiju and kills this thing easily. It just completely obliterates it. Like, it just rips it to pieces. It shoots out a blast from its mouth that blows it into tiny chunks. And this alien has now taken over control of Sumire's body. And he's laughing. He's like, I'm finally free. Now what am I going to do? Well, how about I start off with wiping off every single human around here? So he's basically immediately breaking his promise. And that's when his head immediately gets lopped off. And it gets lopped off by this girl wearing what kind of looks like a Gantz suit with a thick jacket on and a kind of cool, not necessarily a katana, but a ninjatsu, I would say. She basically calls in and she's like, yeah, the base vermin has been defeated. I'm requesting retrieval. That said, the brief only said that there was one vermin, but actually there was two. She turns around to see the second vermin, the one that she's lopped off the head of. And that's when she sees Sumire's head peering out of this alien body. Sumire wakes up, is surprised to not be dead, looks down, discovers that her body is no longer human, but now alien. The only thing that's human is her head. She's freaking out. She has no idea what's going on. She sees this girl next to her and she's like, hey, can you help me? And of course, the girl freaks out and she says, stay the hell back, you monster, and pulls out her sword on her. Yeah, we had the decapitated head of the alien, basically telling the girl, like, you better say your prayers because I'm going to effing murder you. And then that's when he realizes that, oh, crap, I don't have my body anymore. It's just my head. Hey, Sumire, give me back my body. And of course, Sumire's like pissed off. She's like, hey, you promised me you wouldn't go after any humans. And the first thing you did after you killed the alien was try to go after humans. What the hell's wrong with you? And they're basically yelling at each other as this woman is just staring at these two. And she's like, all right, I think we got a problem here. This is a vermin that I've never seen before. I'm requesting backup. And that's basically the first chapter. And from there, I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, we have Sumire getting kind of taken in by the people, the military branch that fights off vermin, and they don't believe that she's a human at first, and so they're gonna try to like run a bunch of tests on her and things, and things get pretty crazy from there. I won't spoil anything more. Instead, I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can read it for yourself. But I enjoy this a lot. I think this is pretty awesome. Like I said, it's basically Kaiju number 8. If Kaiju number 8 was actually good. Kaiju number 8 started off so promising and then just got so freaking terrible. But if Kaiju number 8 was good, then that's what this would be. It'd be a good version of Kaiju number 8 mixed with Parasytes, mixed with Dorohedoro, with a sprinkling of Kobane from Chainsaw Man. So yeah, if you want to see Kobane from Chainsaw Man, only with a little bit more of a backbone, in a world with Kaiju number 8, Parasyte, and Dorohedoro, and that's basically Rairairai. And it's hilarious. Fight scenes are pretty cool. It's just, I love it. I think Sumire is an awesome character. She's freaking adorable and just hilarious, and you can't help but root for her. And yeah, I highly recommend this series. At the time of this recording, only 2 chapters have come out. So maybe there might be a third one by the time this one comes out. Though it seems to be that this is maybe a monthly series. First chapter came out 2 months ago. Second chapter came out 2 days ago at the time of this recording. So yeah, maybe the translators are taking their time. I don't know. But it's awesome. I love it. I think it's really, really good. I'm hoping to see it get more updates quickly. And I'm hoping that the series actually lasts for a good long while because it's a lot of fun so far. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.